Hey everyone, it's been a while since I've been here, huh? I was coming back to grab a lift off of a work friend to get up to Kent, so thought it'd be worth coming back to the old spot. So yeah, yesterday was Pancake Day, or Mardi Gras, as it's known in French, which roughly translates to Fat Tuesday, meaning the day before Ash Wednesday, which is the first day of Lent. Lent gets its name from the days start to get longer at this point as we approach the spring equinox. So the lengthening of the days is this period that we're in now, known as Lent. There was a passage in the New Testament which has Jesus going through the desert for 40 days. And that's what this period of time represents. So it's the 40 days that Jesus spent in the desert with the devil on his back, whispering in his ear, "You are the Son of God. You can turn this rock into a loaf of bread. Why do you starve?" And Jesus was just, "Get behind me, Satan. Not today, Satan. I'm doing this." It's a bit like the fasting that Christians do when it comes around to Lent. Now, the Christians have a strange tradition on Fridays. Because Jesus was resurrected on a Sunday, a lot of Christians like to give up meat on a Friday because giving up flesh was what Christ done on the crucifix on the Friday. As we're coming up to Easter, this is where they celebrate well, not the death, but the death and resurrection of Jesus. This is 3 days, the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday. So there's a couple of mandatory fast days, and I believe that it's the last Friday, just before Easter Sunday, which is like a mandatory fast day, and Ash Wednesday, which is today. So they're the two mandatory fast days that Christians follow. But when I read the Google definition of what they consider a fast, it is literally just giving up meat. Giving up meat, dairy, and eggs. It's not giving up food. It's not doing a dry fast or a solid food vacation. It is literally just abstaining from certain foods. A bit similar to in Navaratri, where they have a sattvic diet for 9 days. This would be like the dictionary or Google definition of what the Lent fast is one meal a day and two smaller meals that couldn't quite be considered a full meal. And I don't quite consider that fasting. So for me, to enjoy Lent, what I tend to do is I go on a 6 weeks solid food vacation, or I give up everything but fruit, which is what I'm doing this time around. See, there's 46 days of Lent in total, but 40 days in the desert because it's 40 days of the fast. And on Sundays, you rejoice, for that is the return of the Savior on a Sunday. So on the Sunday, you don't fast, instead you feast. You would have what they'd call a Sunday roast. But I tend to go for, in the past, I've gone for nothing but liquids during the week, and then on the Sunday, having solid fruit to eat. It's a combination of things because I believe that it's aiming for what the initial fast was aiming for in the first place. A lot of people will notice a major difference just by cutting out processed food, which is a lot harder to digest. It's hard sometimes for you to even read the ingredients on the back of the thing. If you can't pronounce it, what chance has your stomach got of digesting it? Like, if you don't recognize the word that describes it, how's your stomach going to recognize what it is on the inside? It's not natural. Like, especially these modified things. Half of the vegan things I see is all modified tapioca starch, modified potato starch. What is that even? A modified thing isn't a thing that you recognize. It's a thing you think you recognize, but is going to act different. Like, your body might think it recognizes it, and then all of a sudden starts causing you problems on the inside. You ever wonder why you see so many videos of influencers on YouTube and other sites talking about, "I was vegan for 5 minutes and I nearly died"? They're like, yeah, you were eating processed rubbish. So if you were to cut out processed food for a period of time, you notice the major changes it has on your body. You feel a lot lighter. You feel a lot calmer. It's like a lot less drama is going on inside of your body. There's a lot less chemical reactions happening. There's a lot less things going on that will pull you away from the stillness and silence. It's what you need if you're trying to have a connection with God. Like, not everyone does fasting for that, but since we're talking Lent here, there's Lent and Ramadan, I believe, both in order to have a closer relationship with God. Lent and Ramadan actually fall on the same in the same month this year, which is probably not going to happen again until about 2056 or something along those lines, because you have the Islamic calendar works on lunar months and is 11 days shorter than the seasonal calendar that we follow, known as the Gregorian calendar. So you have an 11 days difference between the 12 full cycles of the moon and the full cycle of the seasons, which is also the full circulatory, the full year of the sun, the full sun cycle. So people have found it very confusing with calendars in the past, and what they did is came out with one unified calendar that would incorporate the sun, the moon, the sun cycle, the moon cycle, and the seasons, because they noticed that the seasons were starting to shift. Now, you measure the seasons based on the equinox and the solstices. So the equinox is a day and night being the same length, and the solstice, the summer solstice, is where it's the longest day of the year, and the winter solstice is the longest night of the year, the shortest day of the year. So they're like the two extremes. As we're coming up to the spring equinox now, it's coming up to the equilibrium, the balance. So it goes mid-high, mid-low. We're coming back up to that mid now. So this is what I consider the reset. This is actually what I consider to be the start of the year. When it gets to the spring equinox, that's when you look around, everything looks like it's blooming, things are coming back to life. If you had no concept of conversation with anyone and you were just an animal looking around, that is what you'd notice. Things are springing to life around about this time. So that would be the start of the year. What we're at now is the end of the year, in my opinion. This is the winter period, just before spring cleaning. Everything's being shed. We're getting rid of a lot of old feelings and old physical attributes that we don't need anymore. We're getting rid of a lot of things. So the fast comes in perfect at this time to just shed anything inside your body that doesn't need to be there anymore. Because there are things, when you eat a lot of processed foods, when you have a lot of heavy, rich meat, when you have a lot of dairy products, a lot of cream, and a lot of pastries and things like this, you can end up with what they call mucoid plaque, which is basically things that would be toxic to your body that have been encased in mucus, because the lymphatic system does a wonderful job at keeping us safe, and then it gets stored away somewhere where it's less of a problem. So it's not that it's not a problem, but there's only so many places you can store things in your body. I felt this firsthand as the way that things seem to be distributed around my body. When I start eating things that are not good for me, I feel it in my left hand first, as if that's the first part of my body that will feel the circulation. That is the quickest part of the body for things to be carried to if it's being transmitted via the blood. So there's basically a period now which is a very good time of the year to be able to let go of things, be able to let go of all of the things of the past year and move into the new year. It's basically like Jesus's body being broken down and rebuilt within those 3 days. So a lot of people in Christianity, they tend to, because fish never used to be seen as meat in the early days, they would have fish on Fridays instead of red meat or chicken or something along those lines. So it'd be still aiming for it's slightly more healthy for you. What I like to do is just go for the healthiest possible option and use Lent as the time of year to just remind me that this is a good time to completely clear out anything inside of me that I no longer need. And even though I've been watching what I eat, I have been eating a lot of crispy fried tofu and things like that recently, which people think is a health food. I think is fast food. I think anything deep fried is going to be bad for you somewhat. It's probably less damaging for you than other things that I could eat, but it's just a thing that I eat for enjoyment rather than for nourishment. If I'm eating things for nourishment, it's generally fruits, nuts, it's raw things, it's salads, it's not cooked food. I eat cooked food because I enjoy it. I don't think that cooked food is totally unhealthy for you, but I've found more healing and lighter feelings and much better fluency of activity in my body. A lot less things causing clashes and dissonance inside. It's like everything's on the same team, and I haven't managed to find that through cooked food. I did manage to find it on the Sattvic diet. It was after cutting out things like onions, garlic, ginger, like root vegetables, things that keep you in the root chakra. I managed to find that you were able to feel a lot lighter and rise and feel a lot happier. So potentially, I could find some cooked food that would make you feel quite light. We'll go looking for that at some point. For the time being, what I eat is very much fast food. Yesterday, being Fat Tuesday, my partner had made a big bowl of this Japanese sweet potato rice. She's really good at making it. It's uh, it's actually got alcohol in it, which it's the only alcohol that I consume now is small amounts of cooking sake that she uses for this. We use white sweet potatoes as well, and it's that with Japanese rice. I think it's got mirin, cooking sake, and salt. It's very simple, and that was made up. As tasty as that is on its own, I figured I'd go have a look in the kitchen for anything else that needed to be used. So the reason why it's called Fat Tuesday is everyone getting ready for the fasting on the Wednesday will go through their cupboards and clear out all of the things that are not going to be consumed now for the next 46 days. And you'll go, right, any meat that needs to be cooked now. Any milk or eggs that need using, and sugar needs using now, because often kids would give up sugar for Lent, so the parents would not have it in the house. And you would have things that you can make out of milk, eggs, and sugar. If people have flour in the cupboards, so that's pancakes. So you make up a load of pancakes to use it all up, and hence Pancake Day was born. And it's quite sad, actually. These days, I never really see anyone doing Lent. I think I've spoken to one person that actually does Lent. Out of anyone that I've met that's Christian and religious in one way, shape, or form, the person that done Lent wasn't even a religious person. And what they did for it was the giving something up for Lent. What I'm doing this year is giving up cannabis for Lent. So for the past 5 days, it's been, well, is today day 5? I think it's day 4, actually, of Ramadan. Yeah, for the past 4 days, I've been not smoking from sunrise to sunset to make sure that I'm getting ready for the 46 days now without smoking. And I'm kind of looking forward to it. It's a bit strange. It's the first time in my life where I feel comfortable enough not smoking that I don't think it will be a problem. Since I was 14 years old, I think the longest I've gone without smoking has been on a fast that I done just before Christmas. And prior to that, probably another fast that I done. If I get to the end of this fast and everything is going smooth, I don't even think I'll go back to it. It's like, why take painkillers if you're not in pain? So it'd be interesting. And this will be the first year where I'm actually giving something up for Lent as well as doing a fast for Lent. It's something that is a shame that the Christian communities don't seem to be as avid with Lent as they used to. I think that it's a very good time of year to be doing this kind of thing. And I think it'd be cool for people who are not into religion whatsoever should try out some of these traditions because the way it makes you feel on the inside is better than anyone could tell you about. They won't know. A lot of people just don't do it. And you're only going to know if it works for you if you do it for yourself. Yeah, I'm going to keep this one short because don't want to end up being late to meet my mate and miss my ride. I have to walk to Kent, which from London is quite far. And I appreciate you all for watching. Stay tuned for more.